Dear friends, academic staff, students, dear guests, let me express that I am really happy that I am allowed, in the name of our Dean, to welcome His Holiness Dalai Lama in a ground of the Faculty of Arts of Charles University in Prague. It's not the first time we have His Holiness here, but I am sure that today's roundtable discussion will be as intensive as it was, for example, 2 years ago. Now let me move this microphone to Mr. Jan Urban, who will continue and who will provide the discussion.
Thank you very much. Welcome everybody to this unique occasion, because for years we did not have the opportunity and will not have another opportunity to see such a distinguished panel to talk about this miraculous place called East or Southeast Asia. Many of us think that human rights is the greatest intellectual invention of the 20th century. Many disagree, and many say that to mix human rights, democracy, and religious freedom concepts with Southeast Asia is nonsense. We have our dear guest, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, not for the first time in Prague. Actually, it's the 10th time since he became one of the founding members of Forum 2000 conference. Welcome, Your Holiness. Stephen Gian from Malaysia is one of those strange journalists who make the authorities in his home country uneasy about how far journalist freedom and freedom of expression can go. Thank you for being with us, Stephen.
Thank you.
Chen Guangcheng, you may remember a slightly adventurous departure of his family from China to United States 2 years ago, when he escaped from a long years of house arrest and came to public eye only on the territory of US Embassy in Beijing. He is a long-time human rights activist and lawyer working in rural areas of China, trying to defend that strange concept of universal human rights. To start our discussion, I would ask Tomáš Halík to give us the perspective from Europe.
Mr. Chairman, Your Holiness, my dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a specialist on East Asia, so please allow me to speak about democracy and human rights, and particularly religious freedom from a more general and global perspective. But is it possible, is it correct and possible to speak about such values as democracy, human rights and religious freedom generally without regard to specific cultural context? Such values are not fallen from the sky. They have arisen in a certain environment and have their own cultural and moral context. The experience of Nazism and communism contributed to the fact that these ideas found worldwide acceptance in the 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Nowadays, it would be much more difficult and probably impossible to find similar acclamation and accordance We can hear from many Muslim countries and from some non-democratic Asian countries that there are just Western and Christian or Judeo-Christian values and not belong to them. The assertion that the concept of democracy, human rights and religion freedom is the product of Judeo-Christian civilization is in certain sense true. However, it would be very dangerous and unfortunate to draw from that the conclusion that they have just limited validity. We must be careful of such conclusion of some theories of multiculturalism and cultural relativism. Yes, looking from our cultural perspective, we can say that the ideas of democracy, human rights, and freedom of conscience, I speak now about theories, about concepts, not about historical praxis, are the product of culture that grew from the roots of Judaism and Christianity, from the Catholic synthesis of Jewish monotheism, Roman law, and Greek philosophy, and from Protestant religious individualism. The modern concept of democracy is the product of European Enlightenment and the French Revolution, the American Revolution, but the roots are far older and deeper. I'm not referring here only to ancient Greece, but also to medieval Europe. The rules of decision-making in some religious orders and monastic communities inspired documents such as Magna Carta. The Protestant attempt to democratize the church grew into efforts to democratize society as a whole. Medieval universities are also part of the genealogy of freedom and democracy. The idea of human rights is also linked to the Enlightenment. However, prior to Enlightenment, the Jesuit scholars at the University of Salamanca developed a theory of human rights based on the Bible. Every man was created free in God's image. The dignity of every human being is the gift from Creator. State power and political authority do not grant a man his rights. They merely have to respect them. Religious freedom is one of the human rights. Thomas Jefferson and the America's founders call it the first freedom. It is enshrined in the first clause of the First Amendment to the US Constitution. The American political tradition, as do documents of John Paul II, Pope John Paul II refers to freedom of religion as the basis of all freedoms, and the right to freedom of conscience and religion as key to all other rights. History teaches us that wherever freedom of religion is repressed, sooner or later other freedoms and human rights are also repressed. Many of us, or some of us, remember this from the period of the communist regime in our country, where religion was repressed in more drastic way than in many surrounding states in the communist empire. The totalitarian regimes, Nazism and communism, hated traditional religions because they themselves wanted to create a new atheistic, non-tolerant religion. But perhaps in the discussion there will be the opportunity to show that speaking about freedom of religion in general terms is most complicated. We should first reach agreement what we mean by the word religion. I suppose we will speak now more about the present situation in East Asia. But when we are at the Faculty of Philosophy, I felt as my duty just to mention the philosophical and historical dimension of this topic. We need dialogue between East and West to find answers many questions, in particular where the Asian culture tradition and historical experience can we find some analogy to those ideas of Western culture. I think recognize the differences between cultures is very important, and to recognize the otherness of the others. But on the other hand, if we believe in the unity of mankind and equality of all people and all races, we believe that we must seek and try to seek the analogy between these ideas in our culture and in other cultures, and trust that they are. It is the question of the philosophical hermeneutics. And if global civilization is to be a place of mutual enrichment, we people of Western culture, on the basis of our historical experiences and traditions, have right and duty to offer and to defend our conviction that the idea of human rights and freedom of conscience and religion have universal validity, that every person on this planet deserves to have their rights fully respected. Thank you.
Thank you, Tomáš. Thank you again. Stephen Gan is the symbol of the urbanized, intellectual Malaysia, one of the best organized and admired states in the region for its productivity. What is your perspective on the topic, Stephen?
Okay, I'm going to, thank you. I'm going to perhaps tell two stories. But before I do that, perhaps I'll give it a context to these two stories. Now, Malaysia is a very small country, just like Czech Republic. It's about 28 million people, but it is highly mixed, in terms of cultures, religion, and language. 60% of the population in Malaysia are Muslim, and 40% non-Muslim. And it is really, as I said, multicultural, multilingual, multi-religious. Multicultural in the sense that you got, the cultures of the local Indonesian Malay culture, and then you got, the influences from China as well as India, two of the great civilizations in Asia. Multilingual, we speak in English, we speak in Bahasa, which is a local language. We speak in Tamil, which is one of the many languages in India, and we speak Chinese as well, Mandarin. So this is my story, the first story.
I do. Cantonese also.
Cantonese, that's right. Cantonese,
Mandarin,
Fujianese,
Cantonese.
yes, all sort of different dialects. Thank you, Your Holiness. Forgotten to mention that. Okay, my first story. There is this Singaporean. Singapore is just, a tiny, even tinier country south of Malaysia. So there's this Singaporean who married a Malaysian, and he decided to do some business in Malaysia. He set up a hotel, a resort. He found a nice piece of land. Because of the fact that he's married to a Malaysian, he's got permanent residency in Malaysia. And it's a very nice resort, very small resort, which has about 20 chalets just beside the seaside. And he built a surau, which is the Islamic prayer room, and there's a nice building there among all the the different chalets. And last year there was a group of Singaporeans who are Buddhists. They came to visit, had a nice holiday, and they needed a place so that they can say a few prayers and to meditate. And the owner of the surau was a Muslim. Said that, look, we don't have any hall any open space for you to pray, but you can use the Islamic surah, the surah to do it. Now, so which they, went in and they had their prayers, they had their meditations. However, we do not know who. There was a video of them, doing the prayers and meditation. It was, we have no idea who took that video, but it was released on YouTube, and it became a major issue among the Muslim in Malaysia because it is being seen to be a desecration of the surah, the Islamic prayer room. Desecration in the sense that for the Muslim you're not allowed to show any idols, things like that. So what the government did was to, in response to those demands of the fundamentalist Muslim, was to strip away the permanent residentship of this Muslim, and he did it really in good faith because there's no space for them. Therefore, he offered in good faith, the surah to the Buddhist group to pray. But yet, the government took away his permanent residencyship, and the surah was demolished just a few weeks ago. And this incident, you compare it to a church in UK. Only a few months ago, during the holy month of Ramadan, the church was built just beside a mosque. And the mosque was quite small and was, quite cold outside. It was right in the middle of, close to winter and all that. And because it's small, a lot of the Muslim in that area could not go inside the mosque to pray. So they had to, congregate outside in the cold. And the church next door, the priest invited the Muslim out there to pray in the church, just in the comfort of away from the cold out there. So I think it is interesting comparison in terms of how people treat each other, different religions. And there is another story. This is the second story I want to tell you. Also happened in Malaysia. This is what we call the debate over the use of the word Allah. Now, in Malaysia, some of the native population, especially in Sabah and Sarawak, which is two states in the Borneo Island, most of them were Christians. They are Christians, and partly because of the fact that the British missionary, has done a wonderful job in converting them. So by virtue of they being Christian and all that, and the fact that most of them speak Bahasa, which is a local language. Now, they pray in the local language, which is in Bahasa. Bahasa is linked to Bahasa Indonesia, which is, the Indonesian language. For a very long time in Malaysia, the government would not allow the Bible to be printed in the local language, partly because most of the Muslims who live in Malaysia are also, they speak in the local language as well. So there's always this fear that somehow, they would be converted to Christianity. So one of the, ways for the government to stop this is to ban the translation of the Bible to the local language. And therefore, for the local Christians who communicate in Bahasa, the local language, they have to import their Bibles from Indonesia. And in Indonesia, they refer to God as Allah in the local language. Now, the thing is that, Allah dates back a very, very long time, even before Islam. In the Arab world, they have used Allah to refer to God. But in Malaysia, it is not allowed for anyone other than Muslim to refer to God as Allah. The Christian church has decided to, it was banned, so the Christian church decided to take it to court. And the High Court actually, agree with the Christians and say that, look, for the local language, and given the fact that, Allah has, the use of the word Allah traces back all the way to even pre-Islam times, that, it is okay for the Christians to refer to God as Allah in the local language, not in English. And that's a fine with the Christians because, when they speak in English, they don't refer to God as Allah, they refer to God as God. So the High Court has actually came down with a decision in favor of the Christians. But the government responded by saying that, look, the word Allah could create confusion among the Muslim population. They are worried about, somehow because of the fact that the Christians, if they refer to God as Allah in the local language, there's a tendency perhaps for the Muslim to convert to Christianity. Though, I couldn't understand the logic behind all this. But they decided that they want to challenge this High Court decision. And so they are going to, they did appeal, and it went up to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal has heard both sides and will be making its decision next month. Now, why am I telling these two stories? I think when we talk about freedom of religion, we always think automatically a situation between the secular state versus, the church, state versus church kind of situation. But the examples that I mentioned is that the state that is controlled by the representative of a majority religion, say for instance in Malaysia it would be Muslim, Islam, they do not respect the freedom of religion of the minorities, of other, faiths. And I think increasingly that is a problem in Asia. I'm not just talking about Malaysia per se. I think, if you look at Indonesia, you do see the same thing happening where, the Muslim state is actually persecuting and, where the majority is Muslim are attacking the minority Christians. And in Philippines, it's the reverse, where you see, the minority Muslim being persecuted by the majority Christians. And in other countries like Thailand and Burma, it's another similar situation where, you see the majority Buddhists being seen to be, attacking the minority Muslims. In Thailand, it's the southern Philippines, while in Burma, it was, the majority Burmese against the Muslim Rohingyas. In Sri Lanka, again, you see Buddhist majority, in a fight with the minority Hindus, the Tamils there. And in India, for instance, the majority Hindus, again, is the reverse in a sense. Hindus, majority treating the minority Muslim, the minority Sikhs quite badly. And I think, and within Islam itself, you see different sects attacking each other. The Shiites versus the Sunnis. That is happening in Syria, and I think it will happen more often in other parts of Asia as well. In Malaysia, it is majority. In fact, in Asia, Shiaism, the Shiite sect is banned. So it's just mostly, Sunnis that is allowed to practice their version of Islam. And I think Tomáš was right in the sense that there's a need to have dialogue between East and West, but I would add to that there's a need to have dialogues among the different religions, between Islam, Buddhism, the Hinduism, Sikhism, and all that, all the great religions in this world. My advice is that, I think a lot of people should take on the Confucius advice, which is, do not undo others what you do not want them to do undo you. And there has to be respect for all the different religions, no matter what faith you belong to. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. It is so hopeful to hear that, at least in Malaysia, the courts of the first instance don't listen to government advice and beg their judgments their way. Chen Guangcheng is a very unique personality, and I would like to ask him to give his perspective on democracy, human rights, and religious freedom in China today.
OK， 好，谢谢。这个非常高兴有这样机会跟大家一起交流中国的人权问题。
I am very happy for the opportunity that I can discuss here the issue of human rights in China.
在2次的达赖喇嘛尊者的演讲中，我们都提到了关于以自我为中心的问题。
I have heard here during the speeches of Dalai Lama 2 times the problem of the personal view.
其实这是诸祸之源一个人如果以自我为中心，可能造成的危害不是那么大，但是一旦一群人在这种思想下去组成一个政党，可能对这个国家危害就比较大了。
And I think that this is really core of the problem. If there's a single person having his hedonistic single point of view, that's okay. But if there's a larger community of people who would have the single truth point of view, then creating, for example, a political party, then it might be a problem.
如果这个政党在这种理念之下，在夺得了政权，并且建立起一种这个只为他们自己的一己私利去努力的这个制度的话，它所威胁的可能就不仅仅是一个国家，有可能是我们整个人类的文明。
And if there's such a political party which then gains the power over a country, then it is not. It might not be harming only to that country, but also to the whole humanity.
那么现在呢，在中国这个中共当权者呢，实际上就明白无误的把必须坚持他的领导这个理念写进宪法的前言里边。我觉得这就是以自我为中心的最高体现。
And I think that if we have a political party which has this kind of hedonism and which tries who had written this point into the articles of Constitution that they are the only leading political party, that is a very big problem.
在这种理念的指导下呢，这个所有跟他不保持一致的人，他都会把你视为他的异端，加以打击和控制。那么这就有了前期的文化大革命。
And there is this problem when these people see you as a different one, and when they start to go after such people. Actually, this was the very beginning of a cultural revolution.
这不是简单的非黑即白的看法，而是他们具有特别的排他性。
And this is not a simple black and white issue. The problem is that these people are against everybody who is different.
那么，随着社会互联网的发展，信息的交流中国的公民呢正在迅速的觉醒，而且速度越来越快。在这种情况下尤其是阿拉伯之春这件事情的发生，让他非常的恐慌，会丢失权利，所以对民众的打压也在与日俱增。
And after introducing internet and the speed of communication was increased, and of course after, for example, Arab Spring, these people are even more afraid and that they will lose their power, and therefore they are even more severe fighting against these different ones.
尤其是近几年，在这种以邪压正式的维稳体系下呢，对于这个大批的访民以及各种包括法轮功、包括基督教等各种信仰者，以及很多维权人士、维权律师的打压、随意的抓捕、关押、被失踪、被黑监狱在全国各地到处都在发生。
And you know, there are issues not only of Dalai Lama or Falun Gong, or for example of lawyers who are defending the powerless, and through abuse of power, using, for example, unofficial jailing or other means. This is what is happening in China now.
这个从2006年的这个差不多100人以上的群体性事件，每年在6万起左右，上升到现在每年大约20多万起。
So when there were these issues in 2006, there might be 100 cases. Then in 3-4 years, this number increased into 60,000. Now I believe that there are about 200,000 such cases.
现在呢，已经从开始只在城市里进行维稳，已经通过这个党政部门直接命令到村级要求这些党政官员每个人要承包一个村子来负责维稳。所以现在中共用于维护他自身这个专权的维稳经费已经达到7000多亿人民币比国防开支还要高纵观全球，没有任何一个国家用来对付自己人民的这个费用会超过国防开支，但是它就是这样。
Actually, because now each party member is responsible for empowering the policy and of protecting the power of Chinese Communist Party, and there is, let's say, each leader is responsible for his own village, and they spend money on that. And actually, the budget for that is about 700 billion Chinese renminbi, which is more than a budget of the whole country, the whole budget for the state defense. And you don't have another country which would be which would on these deals use such enormous amount of money.
所以在这种情况下呢，其实中国的这个体制和其他有一个非常大的不同。我们都觉得政府是一个国家政权的代表，可是在中国，政府只是党委的一个工具，每一级都有一个党委来控制同一级的政府。
You know, in China it's a little bit different from other countries because in China the government is not ultimate. Actually, the party, Communist Party, is ultimate, and government is only a tool of the party. this means in particular that on each level the party organization directly controls the governmental body.
尽管这种打压不断的升级，可是民众的这种权利意识在迅速的觉醒。那么这是一个历史潮流。不管怎么样打压，我们看到这社会争取自身权利的人越来越多，敢于用行动来捍卫自身权利的人也越来越多。
And actually, even the power abuse is getting more and more severe. In the same time, there are more and more people trying to protect their own rights. This is something what nobody can go against. This is a fashion, or it's modern. So this is something what one cannot stand against.
最近呢这几个月来，尤其是习近平上台以来，大家都抱着很大的希望。可是我们看到呢，习近平上台以来推出了一个7不讲就说在各个学校里要求不准讲普世价值，不能讲新闻自由、公民权利公民社会、党的历史性错误，什么资本这个权贵资本主义以及司法独立，这些都不能讲。最近还下发了一个9号文件，同样也是这样的一个思想。
And after last year, after President Xi Jinping entered into power, there were many people having hopes that the situation in China could turn or might turn better. But actually, right after Mr. Xi Jinping stepped into power, he introduced so-called 7 no's, which are used in schools and the education system, where it is prohibited to talk about civil rights, about problems of Communist Party, about bad things in capitalism, about free judiciary system, etc., etc. And then recently there's another document called the number 9 document.
除了他通过宣传部门控制所有的传统媒体以外最近几年对互联网的控制也是下了非常大的功夫。
And of course, except for that all the media and are controlled and censored regarding traditional issues, even an internet is being censored more and more.
就在9月9号，那么最高人民检察院、最高人民法院联合做出了一个司法解释，说如果你在网上发布一些信息，被这个点击超过5000次或者转载500次，就可以视为犯罪。可见他们对互联网、对公民意识的觉醒是何等的恐惧。
And recently there was a Chinese Supreme Court issuing a judicate that is explaining if one is using more than 5,000 Chinese characters, meaning 5,000 words above, that such a text without being approved is a criminal offense.
所以在这个与个人交往时，有特别以自我为中心的人，我们都不愿跟他交往。我想这样一个政权，我们大家也应该保持时刻的警惕。目前我们也看到他们对自由世界的威胁也是非常非常的大这种威胁并不仅仅是它的军事、经济对世界有影响，更重要的是它对人类的价值、文明、文化这种摧残，值得大家警惕。
I think that this personal hedonism taken into a power of rulers is very harmful. It is not harmful only, not harmful only to that particular issue, but it's harmful also to the whole humanity and the basic values and culture, human culture.
一方面在强调国际的一些争端要通过对话来解决问题啊，他在对国际是这样说，可是对国内民众却赤裸裸地使用暴力。
Of course, they are promoting or talking about dialogue in the international level, but in the same time, to own citizens, they are using very severe measures.
最近几个月来，已经抓捕了100多人，据不完全统计。就在我来布拉格的当天，又把一个这个商人叫王功权。也又给抓起来，而且像郭飞雄啊，像这个许志勇等，已经抓了很多人，这些都是因言入罪，啊，有的是只要求他们公布自己的私人财产，就被以扰乱公共秩序罪抓起来。
And recently there was another community, internet community, which was taken down. It was about more than 100 people. It happened just before I came to Prague. And you know, it's not only about the freedom of speech, but these people, the government is trying to use different means to take them down. For example, through financial account abuse, etc.
自由是人的天性，那么民主呢是一种这个制度的保障。那么民主中这个当权者之所以把它冠为西方这2个字呢，无非是找一个借口来，好像有一点排外的感觉。实际上，民主制度是属于全人类的一种最好的制度，只不过是率先在西方实施了而已。
Actually, freedom and democracy are the basic values that sometimes they are being referred to as Western values. This is only a way of them how to talk about these things, how to make themselves look better. But I believe that freedom and democracy are the very core human values.
Okay. 大家呢，他现在同时也在用这个民主当中的一些不足之处来诋毁民主制度啊，不断的在国内宣传。我想民主制度很简单，大家理解起来呢，其实并不要指望它能够解决所有的社会问题啊。我想民主制度可能相对于集权制度来讲，它就好比是一头大蒜。那么这一头大蒜的在抱在一起的时候，它就是一个专制制度。但是我们努力让它实现民主，就好比把它的皮给它扒开，然后分成一个半一个半的，来划分。但是并不等于分开以后所有的社会问题都能迎刃而解，它还会存在一个一个的利益集团，但是它的力量已经不是那么大了。
You know, democracy is a great thing, but it is very, but it will not resolve everything in a very simple way, and. Of course, compared to the centralistic governments, you know, some people say that it is too complicated. But I have brought this garlic here to show you how it is with the democracy. When I take the garlic, it has many slices. These could be referred to or viewed as the centers of power, different centers of power. So if you have one garlic, which is combined from these many centers, when you take them apart, actually there is no more garlic.
即使社会，谢谢啊。 谢谢我想，即使社会走向了民主，实现了多党这个执政的这种制度，那么它分开以后，也需要大家更多的公民不断的参与，这个社会才能维持良好的运行。否则就会成为这个政治斗争或者两党之争。那么没有公民的充分参与，这个社会还可能有了两党，它可能随时会这样，也可能会这样，还可能会这样。对，但是我们作为公民应该充分参与。究竟我们是要吃蒜泥还是吃蒜片儿，需要我们自己去努力去做，并不是说有了民主什么都具备了，不会的。
And actually, the problem of the democracy is that if we have more parties, actually this would not solve any of those problems. I think we have to take active approaches as citizens. Because if we would not be active as citizens, maybe finally you would end up with two political parties who would act together. But of course, in democracy, they would not form the original garlic anymore. But if we would be more active, if we would take more action, we can actually have a decisive role in if we want to eat this garlic in slices or in a mash or in whatever state.
所以呢，最后我要说一点，就是说，大家好像以为，好。最后我要说一点呢，就是说，并不是说我们一定要反对某一个党，我们反对的是一种独裁的专制体制这样一种制度啊。如果他们做出符合他们自己身份的事情啊，能够靠民意来掌握权力，那么这是我们想要的。但是如果他继续维护自己的一己之私利，置国家利益、人民的利益而不顾的话，那我们也不得不将它搬开。
Of course, we are not talking here about some particular party. We are talking about the system itself. I think that this system should take into consideration the opinion of peoples, and we should prevent that a certain personal or hedonistic approach would overtake the system.
好，中国走向民主，全人类就真正的走向民主了。这是最后的一块硬骨头，希望我们大家一起来努力。这不是每一个人的事情，也不是中国人自己的事情，而是全人类的事情。谢谢。
I would at the final sentence, which would be that China is the last hard backbone where we need to promote democracy. It's not only about us trying to promote democracy in China. It's also about, but it's not also only on the shoulders of Chinese people. I think this is on the shoulders of the whole world, all human beings. Thank you very much.
谢谢。
Thank you.
Okay.
谢谢，谢谢。
Thank you. Thank you.
不好意思，谢谢。谢谢。
Thank you.
Thank you.
谢谢。
Good for your health, ne? Good for your health.
Thank you,
Very.
Chen Guangcheng. I don't think I'll be ever eating garlic without thinking about political power. Thank you again. Your Holiness, you are left us the last, and I thank you for your patience. And it's a little deliberate because it seems like we are invading your home courtyard. More than 50 years ago, when you named the 3 missions of your career as the Dalai Lama. You mentioned the fostering of interreligious freedom and dialogue, as well as promotion of basic human values, two of the three main missions of your life. After such a long and distinguished career, how far do we need to go yet? Do you see a success?
I think, firstly, as far as the promotion of human value, although my first visit to Europe, 73, I already start talks that we need the sense of global responsibility. So problem which we are facing is not concern of one particular area, particular nation, but whole world. There are little differences here and there, but basically is facing that problem. I think the richest countries also, you see, are facing problem of moral crisis. And poorest sort of country or area also, you see, facing that problem. Now, after sort of decades, more and more scientists really showing the importance of inner value, not just belief. You see, through their experiment, how they are convinced the warm-heartedness is the very important factor for healthy body, healthy family, healthy community. And many scientists from the West, while this is some my Western friend, some Muslim, some Christian, they have some kind of sort of, reservation when I use the word secularism. I use the word secularism according to Indian understanding. According to Indian understanding, secular means respect all religions. And then also the secular also, you see, respect non-believers' right. So the secular means, you see, they respect all religion and also respect non-believer. Now today's world, out of 7 billion human beings, over 1 billion human beings, they formally say they are non-believer. These also should include among the humanity. We cannot say, oh, these are non-believer, not human beings. No, we cannot say that. Many of these non-believer, I think, many scientists, I think, non-believer. And many, I think, businessmen, many politicians also essentially non-believer. Some time ago, you see, I just discussed one Western, advisor of multi-corporation. Actually, you see, with his initiative, you see, we wrote one book about karate, ethics in economy, or leadership ethics, like that. So in casual sort of talk, I told him, I expressed to him, oh yes, fearing God, fearing God is some work, some effect. Then he immediately mentioned that's the 18th century's concept. So as a people, particularly I think more successful people, they forget about God, isn't it? So in any way, and then also obviously, among those believers, supposed religious person, a lot of corruptions there. If these people are truly believe the deeper value which their tradition teach them, then religious people cannot be corrupted. Clear? So, besides over 1 billion human beings who openly say non-believer, even among around 6 billion human beings, supposed believer, many of them essentially not much serious, isn't it? And anyway, the world crisis, all major religious traditions have sort of potential to help humanity more sensible, more peaceful. So therefore, we really need promotion of secular ethics, which can be universal. So now many scientists, many thinkers, many the educationists, now they showing same view. So I think last few decades, the effort or realization, many problems which we are facing is due to lack of moral principle. Now, so I may say our effort is quite successful. Then religious harmony. Of course, the one previous sort of late Pope, the Pope John Casa. I usually say Polish Pope. Oh. Yeah. He really. He sort of start the religious harmony, I think, effectively. So the RCC meeting, I think 86. I also participated there. So, from same platform, you see, speak message of spirituality. Very good. You see, many religious sort of leaders. Then at that time, I told him, now this event should not be last one. I think we should consider this is just a beginning. This kind of work continuously should carry. So many religious leaders, now even I think Vatican, the literature, a document, now they use religions, not only just religion, pluralism. So many parts of the world, you see the concept of several religion now coming. I think that's very good. And then I think you make one picture of India also very negative, a little bit negative. I want to say a little bit different. One Romanian, I think 3-4 years ago, I think 3 years ago, while I'm touring some part of India on the invitation of local some education institution. So in the hotel where I live, when I'm coming back, I'm coming, go some other engagement, I met one Romanian, one European. He himself introduced me. He's Romanian, who are carrying now research about India's religious harmony. Then he told me, and Rajasthan, mainly Muslim community. So he found one Muslim village. Village means surely few thousand population. So there, one Muslim village, he found 3 Hindu families, no fear.
I was wrong.
Then also is Zorazuddin, from ancient Persia. They found a new home, I think because of persecution in their own land. So they found the place, Bombay area. Now in Bombay, I think about 20 years ago, you see, perhaps I think 20, 30 years ago, you see their population around 100,000, I was told. Now, because of their marriage, just because of the family. So some say that is the one sort of factor. So their population now less than 100,000. In Bombay, big city, capital of economy of India. Lot of Muslims, lot of Hindus, of course. But you see, these less than 100,000 sort of population, small group, no fear, no threat. So I always say, of course, some sort of missionaries, you say, harmed they burned, actually, you see, beat and burned. I think in Orissa a few years ago. So one time I visit Poland, one press meeting. One lady asked me, now India, that really Christians really suffer a lot. She asked that sort of incidents. See, media people, sometimes you see, just pick one negative thing. Then you see, show, say, the readers, so bad. So I think that reporter, you see, got the impression in India, all Christians really, you see, facing difficulties by the Hindus. No. I think millions of Indians are Christian. And many government officials, Christian. Now today is the party chief, the Italian, Italian actually, Catholic. So the India's ruling parties had a Catholic, Christian. India's Prime Minister is Sikh, Sadaji. The deputy president was Muslim. The president, Hindu, like that. Really, multicultural sort of nation, multi-religious nation, basically 1,000 years remain harmoniously. So now India is my second home. I think it is my duty to show India not that much bad. Not that bad.
I agree.
And then also you see, in previous time, I think in the 60s, I also have the opportunity to visit then Malaysia. I met different religious leaders in Kuala Lumpur or Penang or something. So the Malaysian Muslim, very open-minded.
Yeah.
Like Indian Muslim, also very open-minded. There is some Muslim from some country, of course, their environment, no other religious tradition. So they're a little bit sort of isolated. So then their sort of attitude towards other religion is sometimes not that much open, clear. So the environment really makes differences. I think for that reason, your origin Chinese.
No, I'm not. Well, I'm one of the non-believers.
No. I mean Chinese,
Yes,
racial,
yeah.
Chinese. So I think the Chinese, wherever they sort of live, generally, you see, they carry their own tradition, including Buddhism. So wherever Chinese community there, some Buddhist temple there. So in Malaysia and in Singapore, say large number of Chinese community there. In Singapore, Indonesia also, it's a large number of Chinese there. So they carry the Buddhist tradition. So you see, they open many Muslim friends. Yeah, there are different religious tradition like that. So there is, so promotion of religious harmony. I think due to sort of full cooperation from other sort of religious leaders, I may say, I think quite successful. Still we need is to further sort of promote like that. So then,
Thank you so much.
then I think I want to say democracy. I think judging the world's trend, go or trend more sort of democracy, open society, freedom of speech, freedom of information.
Yeah.
So People's Republic of China, the population 1.3 billion, and cultured people. I think, generally speaking, hardworking people, and realistic people. So therefore, that ancient big nation, part of the world. So China have to go along the world trend. World go this way, China go this way, impossible. So only question of time. More open sort of society, free information. I think that then governments have to listen people's sort of desire or people's sort of voice. So things will change. Last over 60 years, you see, a lot of change take place in People's Republic of China. Same party, same sort of system. Within that is some change, obviously there. So that's my view. And then myself, I think many of you, I'm promoter of democracy. Since my young age, I really admire system of the democracy. One time in America, I expressed, America belongs to American, about 300 millions of American people. America not belong to Democratic Party or Republican. No. Then also on one occasion in Japan, I a little bit sort of boldly mentioned, Japan belongs to Japanese people, not king, not emperor. or queen, like that. It's fact. Yeah. So my case, my own case, Tibet belonged to Tibetan people, but not Dalai Lama. So therefore, about 12 years ago, we already achieved elected political leadership. And then I become semi-retired position. Now, 2011, I completely retired from political responsibility. So not only myself, you see, retired, but also almost 4-century-old tradition. Dalai Lama institution automatically become head of both temporal and spirituality. Now that ended. That not happened due to, say, the pressure. No, Tibetan people really want, you see, my leadership. But now this system, outdated. Now we are part of the world. And also, you see, we want to show our Chinese brothers, sisters. we also, you see, practicing democracy sincerely, not just the lip service. Some you see, some documents say Mindu, but the reality not much sort of concern. So I believe the democratic system, in spite of some drawbacks, it is best system. Now for example, Czech Republic now here, you got freedom, democracy. Now ultimate responsibility relying on your shoulder, not a few politicians. So you speak out. You must check government. And your voice must be expressed through your parliament members. Very important. If government not sort of carrying sort of according to your wish, then like America, you know, Mr. Nixon, very sort of also the able politician. He impeached, isn't it? I think every democratic country, if you see leadership not fulfill people's wish sincerely, then impeachment. That's, I think, very good. So my own case. My own case. Before impeachment, I myself retired.
Good one.
That is a brilliant example of leading by example. Gentlemen, we still have few minutes through generosity of Director Jakub Klepal. Could you advise us in one issue that is rather complicated in this country and in Europe as well? We are told by some of our politicians not to care about democracy and human rights issues in other countries, and specifically not in Asia and China, respectively. Because it could, as they say, harm the trade. Should we listen or not? Stephen? Does it make sense to take care for human rights in Asia?
I think, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I think, as you listen to a few, panels here, you have to show leadership, really. I think, it is important that you take a stand, and I think, Waka Havel has actually shown his leadership, and that has to be continued. It is really, really important that that all of you, and even people in Asia, support each other on common values. And I still remember Frederick de Klerk, who mentioned today that the reason why South Africans, or the reason why he decided to negotiate with ANC was because of the fall of the Berlin Wall. That impacted them in a sense that because of the fact that for a very long time they were worried about communism, partly because the Soviets and the Cubans are supporting ANC, and that was a major mental block for them. And when the fall of Berlin Wall came, and when Eastern Europe changed, that has led him to decide that apartheid is no longer moral defensible, that they have to negotiate with ANC. And I think this is what is happening, really, in a sense that whatever changes that happen here will impact will impact our countries in Asia, Africa, and elsewhere. And if there's change in China, it will impact the whole world.
Thank you. Chen Guangcheng, the same question. Should we care for human rights in China?
Okay. 我有2句话。第一，全球一体化的今天，在任何地方发生侵犯人权的事情，大家都不要认为跟我没有关系，实际它就在你身边。当年苏联跟我们是不是很远？可最后它影响到捷克。
Actually, I have two sentences. The first one, if you have any single issue of human rights being endangered, and it's happening beside you, next to you, just don't do that. This is not none of your business. It can influence you. And just think of, for example, Soviet Union. It had impact on you here in Czech Republic.
第2句话就是说，我们很多人都有这样的体会啊，都在埋怨这个社会有什么不公啊，有多么不好啊，存在什么问题。可是大家很少想想，你我，咱们为把这个社会变得更好，都做了些什么。所以说，我们用实际行动来改变这个社会，相信每一个人都能改变这个世界。
And the second sentence would be that we have to really to be more active and to use own experience. If there are things that are no good, you have to think what is between you and me, what is there, and you have to use a more active approach to change it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Holiness, the same question. Should people care for other people? And should Europeans and Americans care for Asians?
Many years ago, one American administration, as well as both houses, discuss about whether China should get most favored nation sort of status. Somehow I also there the same period. So some people asked me. Then I immediately mentioned, oh, China, most populated nation, should get, that right. And then economically, China themselves want to join world community, world mainstream of community. So should welcome. Meantime, and then some people, the idea is some contentment about China. That's morally wrong. Over a billion human population's right, we must respect. So therefore, I fully support about that. And not only that, Olympic game, and the committee, about the time they discuss what's the next venue. I think one Peking, one Korean, some Australia city or something. I think 2 or 3 you see places. So again, this is some sort of reporter asked me my opinion. Then I immediately say China. It's the ancient nation, cultured nation, cultured people, so really worthwhile Peking. But later the Chinese government accused me, I opposed that. Actually, I support, but I think government, some officials, I think according to their necessity, you see, they accuse me. And then I think till recent, you see, they still accuse me as a spiritist. I think my pengyu, my friend, you see, knows very well. I totally sort of committed, remain within the peoples of China. We are a poor country, economically very poor, not yet developed. So therefore, we Tibetans also want modernized Tibet. I publicly telling Tibetan, look, a few thousand Tibetans illegally immigrated to Europe, to America, Canada. These illegally immigrated Tibetan people, they are immigrated to these countries in order to seek spirituality. No, in order to seek dollar. So you see, Tibetan also want modernization, more economy sort of prosperity. So we should remain within the people of China. It's our interest. Meantime, we have our own language, our own script, long time sort of our cultural heritage. That culture I usually describe culture of peace, culture of non-violence, ultimately a culture of compassion. So that kind of culture is really worthwhile to preserve. And I think millions of Chinese also need culture of peace, culture of compassion, isn't it? I think, according to some sort of reporter, according to some people, in Tibet, Tibetan officials, although sometimes a little corruption there, but much less. The Han officials, much more corruptions. So this is the same opportunity, but because of culture of respect other. From the childhood, the bully or stealing, violence is wrong. We always see from childhood we have that kind of cultural heritage. So therefore, the Tibetan unique cultural heritage is really worthwhile to preserve. That not only benefit Tibetan, but also benefit millions of Han brothers, sisters. There's no question, isn't it? And historically, there are many Buddhist temples in Peking itself or some other places built according to Tibetan architecture. So historically, very close link, like that. Some emperors of China actually following Tibetan Buddhism. I saw one picture, one Manchu emperor, he dressed like a monk dress. And I was told, one expert, one Europe, told me, they kasa, roka, pumbushas kasa. No, not cemetery. Or their house where the emperor's body kept or tomb. So all the painting according to Tibetan, and the Tibetan word, some mantras, whole sort of all Tibetan writing. So very, very unique sort of close relations. I think between Tibet and Chinese sort of relation, I think almost 2,000 years. So sometimes very happy relations, sometimes a little bit gone.
Thank you so much. Thank you all our panelists. Thank to you all. Thank to our translator for his hard work.
Good. Thank you.
And thank you, Filozofická fakulta.